Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Shivangi Mishra. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 10th of November. At least 10 people, including Indians, killed in massive fire in Maldives. Pakistan's ex-PM Imran Khan says military officers were behind his execution plan. And Taliban bars Afghan women from amusement parks. And now for all the details. A massive fire that broke out in building in Maldivian capital Malé that contained a repair shop and a residential accommodation killed at least 10 people, including Indians, on Thursday. Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih and Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid expressed condolences and assured full investigation.
At least 10 people were killed after a fire broke out in a building in Maldivian capital Malé that contained a repair shop and residential accommodation, local police said on Thursday. The footage of the area was doing rounds in social media. The fire broke out in a garage while the victims were trapped without a way out. Reports suggested among the 10 killed, 9 were expatriates from India while 1 was a Bangladeshi national. The Indian High Commission in Maldives said on Twitter it was deeply saddened by the tragic fire incident and was in contact with the Maldivian authorities.
Local authorities have indicated at least 10 bodies have been found. Local authorities are engaged in identifying the dead bodies. Our High Commission is in close contact with the Maldivian authorities at various levels. And of course, our High Commission is extending all possible assistance to the affected Indians and their families.
Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih and Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid expressed condolences and assured full investigation. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Nasheed raised concerns over the living conditions of expatriate labourers in the country. Migrant workers from South Asia have become a large part of the population on the island. They are thought to make up about half of Malay's 250,000 strong population.
Moving on, police in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir on Thursday said they have busted a terror funding and recruitment module in Kupwara district and arrested 5 persons with weapons planning to carry out attacks. An official said Pakistan-based handlers were coordinating the module to aid the terror operations.
Police in India's Jammu and Kashmir on Thursday claimed to have busted a terror funding and recruitment module in Kupwara district and arrested 6 persons with huge cache of arms and ammunition planning to carry out terror attacks. The police said a joint operation was launched by the army and Kupwara police to nab them. They were allegedly running a terror funding racket under a fake NGO, namely Islahi Falahi Relief Trust, and had Pakistan-based handlers who aimed to revive terror activities in North Kashmir.
सीक्रेट मीटिंग्स करते थे और जहाँ पे ये डिसाइड करते थे कि किस किस को इसमें शामिल किया जाए ताकि वो इनका नेटवर्क जो है वो और फैलता जाए और किस तरीके से टेरर एक्टिविटीज़ को यहाँ पे बढ़ावा दिया जाए। इसके साथ साथ मैं ये भी बताता चलूँ कि कुपवाड़ा के जो पाकिस्तान बेस्ड हैंडलर्स हैं जिनमें जनरल अब्दुल्ला जिसका असली नाम गुलाम रसूल शाह जो हयामा का रहने वाला है वो, और एक मोहम्मद सुल्तान पीर जो कि वो भी हयामा का रहने वाला है, और इसके साथ साथ और भी टेररिस्ट हैंडलर्स जो हैं वो इन लड़कों को हैंडल कर रहे थे और यहाँ पे टेररिज्म को दोबारा से रिवाइव करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे।
India has long blamed Pakistan helps terror groups infiltrate across the border to spread unrest in Kashmir Valley, which has been at the heart of decades of hostility between the arch rivals. Pakistan, however, denies the allegations.
In news from Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan has threatened to expose the names of the military officials who plotted to assassinate him. Khan suffered a bullet injury in his right leg when 2 gunmen fired a volley of bullets in Punjab province past Thursday, where he was in leading anti-government protest march.
Pakistan's former premier and PTI party chief Imran Khan on Wednesday threatened to disclose the name of a second military officer who he claimed monitored his execution plan from the control room along with Major General Faisal Nasir. 70-year-old Khan suffered a bullet injury in the right leg when 2 gunmen fired a volley of bullets in Wazirabad area of Punjab province last Thursday, where he was leading a protest march against PM Shehbaz Sharif's government. Sharing an old video of his rally where he spoke of conspiracies against him, Khan said he knew about the assassination attempt 2 months ago. He alleged that Shehbaz Sharif, Interior Minister Rana Sanaullah and Major General Nasir were part of a sinister plot to assassinate him and blame it on religious extremists.
और इन्होंने पूरा टीवी के ऊपर प्रोग्राम किया कि इमरान खान ने तौहीन मजहब किया। इसके पीछे गेम क्या है? इसके पीछे गेम ये है, और 4 वो बंद कमरों में लोग बैठे हैं जिन्होंने फैसला किया मुझे मरवाने का, वो इसके पीछे हैं। इन्होंने फैसला किया कि जी कहेंगे तौहीन मजहब किया।
Meanwhile, reports suggest in a meeting in London, PMLN Supremo Nawaz Sharif suggested Shehbaz Sharif not to come under PTI's pressure, especially on its key demand of early elections, while the country grapples with an economic crisis. The PTI's long march towards Islamabad, which was suspended following attack on Khan, was poised to resume on Thursday from Wazirabad in his absence.
Afghan women on Wednesday were stopped from entering amusement parks in Kabul after the country's morality ministry said there would be restrictions on women being able to access public parks. Since taking over Afghanistan last year, the Islamist Taliban has imposed restrictions on movement of girls and women. In the latest sweeping restriction from the Taliban, Afghan women on Wednesday were stopped from entering amusement parks in Kabul after the country's morality ministry said that there would be restrictions on women being able to access public parks. A spokesperson for the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice confirmed that women would be restricted from accessing parks. It was not clear how widely the restrictions applied or how they affected a previous rule from the Taliban-run ministry, saying parks must be segregated by gender and certain days would be aside for women.
نواسیم زیاد گریه داشت که مرا پارک شهر بر اینجا کامدم اجازه ندادن که ما داخل دختره که ببری بسیار مایوس شده پس خانه میبرمش. یک مادر که اولاد خود میاره باید از اجازه بتن که طفلای خود که باشه. برای اینکه اولادا چی را دیدن خیلی شار جنگ زده است. باید از ساعتشان تیر شه و برن یک ساعت بشینن. دیگه آمدم زیاد عذر کردم گفت اجازه نیست پس نواسی خود خانه میبرم.
Since taking over Afghanistan last year, the Islamist Taliban has banned schools for girls above 6th grade, while most women no longer have access to employment opportunities. The group has ordered women should not leave home without a male relative and must cover their faces, though some women in urban centers ignore the rule. No country has so far recognized the Taliban's regime in Afghanistan. The country's assets have remained frozen due to sanctions that have severely hampered banking, business and development. Western governments have said that the group needs to reverse its course on women's rights for any path towards formal recognition. The International Monetary Fund has provisionally agreed a $4.5 billion support program for Bangladesh with the country's finance minister, saying the deal would help prevent economic instability escalating into a crisis. Bangladesh is now the third South Asian nation to secure a staff-level agreement with the IMF for loans this year.
The International Monetary Fund (IMF) provisionally agreed a $4.5 billion support program on Wednesday for Bangladesh in a 42-month arrangement with the country's finance minister AHM Mustafa Kamal, saying the deal would help prevent economic instability escalating into a crisis. Bangladesh's $416 billion economy has been one of the world's fastest growing for years. But rising energy and food prices, sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, along with shrinking foreign exchange reserves, have swelled its import bill and current account deficit. It is now the third South Asian nation to secure a staff-level agreement with the IMF for loans this year after Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Bangladesh's economic mainstay is the export-oriented garment industry, which is bracing for a slowdown as big customers like Walmart are saddled with excess stocks as inflation forces people to prioritize their spending. The country's foreign exchange reserves had dwindled to $35.74 billion by November 2 from $46.49 billion a year ago, central bank data showed. A staff-level agreement is typically subject to approval by its executive board, which is expected in the coming weeks. Finance Minister Kamal said the IMF team agreed with the government's economic reforms. Earlier in August, Bangladesh hiked fuel prices by around 50% in a move to trim its subsidy burden, but government officials denied at the time that this was a prerequisite for the IMF loan. Funds will be disbursed in 7 tranches, Kamal said, adding that the first installment will be available in February 2023.
Sri Lanka's largest port on Wednesday began construction of a $700 million terminal project, partly funded by India's Adani Group, marking the first foray by an Indian company into the sector. Asian giants India and China are both vying for influence in the island nation located near busy shipping routes.
Sri Lanka's largest port began on Wednesday construction of a $700 million terminal project, partly funded by India's Adani Group, an official said, marking the first foray by an Indian company into the sector. Upul Jayatissa, managing director of the state-run Sri Lanka Ports Authority or SLPA, said that the first stage is expected to be done in the third quarter of 2024 and the full project will be completed by 2025 end. He added, India has this year provided the most financial support to its southern neighbor, which is facing its worst economic crisis in more than 7 decades. India is now keen to see long-term projects by Indian companies take off in Sri Lanka. Ports to edible oils group Adani, controlled by Asia's richest person Gautam Adani, holds a 51% stake in the West Container Terminal of the port, which also has a terminal run by China Merchants Port Holdings Company Limited. India and China are vying for influence in the island nation of 22 million located near busy shipping routes. Sri Lankan conglomerate John Keel's Holdings owns 31% of the WCT and the rest is held by the SLPA. In September, the Sri Lankan government of Ranil Wickremesinghe, who became president in July, had signed a deal with the Adani Group for the West Terminal, while the East Container Terminal is being constructed by the Ports Authority and expected to be complete by late 2024. India has extended about $4 billion including swaps and multiple credit lines to Sri Lanka amid an acute shortage of dollars and essentials.
Amid truce along the line of control, wedding celebrations with peace and tranquility are back in the remote border areas of India's Jammu and Kashmir. In February last year, both India and Pakistan agreed strict observance of all agreements and ceasefire along the line of control and other sectors.
With the semblance of peace, wedding celebrations are back in the remote border areas along the de facto line of control (LOC) in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir, a year after India and Pakistan agreed to ceasefire truce. Villagers of Churunda in Uri sector along the border were recently seen involved in a wedding revelry, with many expressing joy over no shelling over the past 12 months, which was not possible some years back. Army personnel also came forward to be part of the celebrations and bless the couple.
सब कुछ हमने अच्छी तरीके से निभाया, सब कुछ हमने अच्छी तरीके से देखा. यहाँ बाकी कोई डर का खतरा नहीं, कोई कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. फौज भाई भी आया, उन्होंने भी हेल्प किया. यहाँ के लोग भी है, फौज के साथ मिलजुल कर अच्छी तरीके से चलते हैं, अच्छी तरीके से खाना शाना सबने दावत सबने अच्छी तरीके से खिलाया.
कि आज हमारी भांजी की शादी थी, लेकिन इस गांव में फर्स्ट ऐसी शादी हुई है कि जिसमें इतने मतलब मेहमान हमारे आए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई परेशानी नहीं. मेरे फ्रेंड्स बारामूला से, उड़ी से हर एक पहुँचे. शादी का नज़ारा आया, लुत्फ़ आया और बहुत अमन रहा.
Hundreds of marriages have taken place in border villages of Kashmir since the ceasefire began, bringing back the old memories of weddings in houses instead of moving the events to safer places. The ceasefire violations also used to lead to loss of lives and property.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now, our viewers can watch the show on southasianewsline.com. You can also visit us on facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.